So first up, our first Boomstick Overclock is compact shells. This gives you 6 more shells, and it gives you a 0.2 second faster reload speed. Faster reload speed is nice, and more ammo is nice. This is a fantastic clean overclock for the Boomstick. It's like A or B tier. Like, more shells for the Boomstick is good. The Boomstick itself is good. This, it's a clean overclock. There's not really anything to hate about this, unless you just hate the Boomstick in general, which is fine. But compact shells is like high B tier, high A tier, or high B tier, low A tier. It's a good overclock. It's a clean overclock. There's nothing wrong with it. Gives you more shells with the Boomstick, which is always nice. Boomstick could always make good use of extra ammo, and you can kind of build it however you'd like. Usually I build it something like this, where I will go with extra ammo, faster reloads, or more rate of fire. Both are good. The rate of fire actually does affect your reload speed, so if you're shooting it out really quick, you can do that. If you're not shooting it out constantly, at least with both shots, you can go with faster reloads. And having that 1.1 second reload is pretty quick, so the reload speed is fast regardless of whichever one of these you take. Usually more pellets, we don't need more ammo. If you want more ammo though, you can have it, and then you can go up to 50 rounds extra with the Boomstick, which is great. Blow through rounds because it usually gets us the most value in tier 4. And then white phosphorus rounds, but Fear the Boomstick is also good. Again, you can build this however you'd like. It is a clean overclock, so no really wrong way to build it. Up next we got Stuffed Shells. Stuffed Shells is really good. Stuffed Shells is 1 more damage, 1 more pellet. And that's it. A tier? Yeah, I'm thinking that this, I think that this one's better than compact shells, because how much damage does this actually get you just by itself? Like right now we've got 61 DPS, potentially 3,000 damage, and that's actually with the extra ammo. So Stuffed Shells about the same, but more DPS. Yeah, Stuffed Shells I think is A tier. I think it's an easy A tier for a clean. It's really good. It's anything that you would want with the Boomstick. More damage, more pellets. And you can build it for even more damage and more pellets, or you can build it for more ammo. The way that I usually build it is going something like this. This gets us 13 damage per pellet at 12 pellets. Gives us a lot of damage per second, plus we have fire on those, and we can blow through. We can hit a lot of enemies. Does a lot of damage to big enemies, does a lot of damage to small enemies. Really good for crowd control. You could build it however you'd like though. If you feel like you need more ammo, you could go with that. If you feel like you need more damage, you could go for that. Then we've got Special Powder. S++++. Special Powder is solely determined on the fun factor. Because as an overclock, it's an overclock that doesn't necessarily give you anything. If you just plan on using the Boomstick normally, like if you're just running around just shooting stuff, it's the same Boomstick. But if you do plan on using it for mobility, it's really good. And if you plan on using it for fun, it's really good. Mobility kind of depends on the cave system, but there's almost no cave that you can't use Special Powder in to fly away. It helps with the high ceilings. Yes, if you get a map with really high ceilings, it's fantastic on. If you get a, like, just super tunnely map where there's no real high ceilings, it's still okay, because you can usually jump up and blast yourself backwards to get away from things. So at the very least, it gives you some mobility to get out of bad situations, which again, no downside to this one. So I think Special Powder should go up into S tier, because it gives you more utility on a weapon, and that's it. The weapon itself is already pretty good. It's also super fun to use. Most of the time, there's going to be ways of using it to at least get away from a horde, get away from whatever big enemy is trying to hit you. And in very large maps, like oil rig missions or point extracts, the caves are almost always really big, and Special Powder just helps you maneuver that much more. It can also help you like just not take fall damage, which is really nice. Usually the way that I build Special Powder is going with just more ammo. Outside of that, you can kind of build it however you'd like. So in tier 2, this really depends. Double trigger lets you fly potentially higher and use it more often. However, if you're like me and forget to reload pretty often midair, then quick fire ejector can be really useful, just so that you don't break your legs as much. So I'll usually take that one. More ammo in tier 3, again, just so that I can use it more often to bounce around. Blow through rounds because we can punch through enemies, but armor breaking could also be really useful here. Even if you want to take Improved Blast Wave, which isn't really the best, you could take it here. And then usually I'll go with White Phosphorus rounds again for the fire, unless you're going on like an elimination mission or you really like Fear the Boomstick. Both these can be great options too. Or if you want to take auto reload and you're not running Born Ready, that's a great option too. And up next we have everybody's favorite overclock, Double Barrel. S for the memes. Yeah, put it in S tier. Don't even talk about it, just put it up there. Double Barrel does is it gives you 1 more point of damage, similar to Stuffed Shells. However, this makes it so every time you fire out your shotgun, you are forced to fire out both barrels at the same time. That is not really good, because if you want to, you don't really have an option in tier 2. You have to take quick fire ejector. Taking faster rate of fire doesn't help when you're forced to fire out both shots immediately. So this doesn't even help with the faster reload speed of it. This really doesn't help against hordes. If you're firing double barrel into hordes, you're probably just wasting ammo, especially if there's only 1 or 2 grunts, where you could probably kill it with a single shot from the double barrel otherwise. So this one is just a direct downgrade to the double barrel the majority of the time, or not even much of an upgrade, because even that 1 more point of damage gets completely outshined by stuff shells, which gives you 1 more pellet as well, and something like compact shells, which just gives you more ammo. Both of these are better options for dealing more damage to more enemies, and even against large enemies they're better. Double barrel belongs in D tier, and it should really get reworked to something else. I want it like reworked into an unstable overclock. And so usually the way that I build double barrel doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because if I'm taking it, I'm likely taking it for a challenge or taking it for the memes or whatever it might be. If you want a decent double barrel, I would probably recommend going with ammo or going with pellets and only using this for big enemies, and that's it. Blow through rounds or tungsten coated buckshot is fine, because you're likely going to be using this against big enemies. And then something like white phosphorus rounds again, so that you can light big enemies on fire like Praetorians. Up next we got shape shells. Shape shells actually got buffed recently. Well, it used to be that you lost out on 1 pellet, I believe, which losing out on 4 ammo I think is actually better than losing out on 1 pellet. 50% reduction in spread is really nice. The boomstick can be surprisingly accurate at long range, especially with this. And you still have all of your damage. If you take either of your ammo choices or both your ammo choices, then you make up for that loss in ammo immediately. I'm going to put shape shells high up into A tier. Shape shells are really good, and if you take the ammo in tier 1, then you make up for that, and you get an additional 4 rounds, which is nice. Either option in tier 2 is your choice. Pick whichever one you'd like. I like going with more pellets in tier 3. That way we can pretty much always hit with all 11 of these pellets and deal really high damage at just about any range. Blow through rounds or armor breaking is really good with this, and then again white phosphorus rounds or Fear the Boomstick are great options for shape shells. Then our last one for the boomstick is jumbo shells, which jumbo shells gives us a lot more damage, gives us 8 more damage per pellet. We lose out on 10 ammo in total, and we also get a slightly longer reload at 2.5 seconds. I think I would put jumbo shells up into A tier. Like, the ammo efficiency on it kind of sucks, so it's not great on every build, and it does shine more on like elimination missions. But you can still use it to take out things like menaces or spitballers, Praetorians, oppressors, stuff like that. And it works pretty well for those jobs. So I think I'm going to put jumbo shells up into A tier. Very good. It's really fun to build if you want to go full damage. And just take those two and then have 23 damage a shot with 11 pellets and deal massive damage to enemies. You could also take this with ammo. I do like taking the reload speed on this one too, because I don't really think that it's necessary to fire out both these barrels a lot of the time. Sometimes you only need 1 shot with it, but if you want to do even more damage, and if you're taking this specifically on like a dreadnought mission, this build is super fun. And going with something like this, you'll just slap the twins with it. If you're taking it on other missions, sometimes I'll go with something else, again, similar to this. So there is all of our overclocks for the boomstick. A lot of good ones, one particular bad one that I think should get reworked. Tell me your thoughts down below in the comments on the boomstick and its overclocks. Thanks everybody for watching this. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye!